All right. We are
We're
live.
live. Like, only 5 minutes late. That's not bad for me.
That's a new record.
I really thought it would be like 11 when I finally get on.
All right. What's your YouTube channel so I can pay attention to the comments? There's going to be no one watching this.
I don't know. There's one viewer already.
Oh, great. It's probably me. Is it Desipio.com?
It's his YouTube.
Yeah. Okay.
.com/Desipio.com all spelled out.
Got it.
So what was the deal? Somebody want to know what beer I would drink this morning?
Yeah. What was going to be your breakfast beer?
I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, you know, I have to set an example for the kids.
So like Coors Light.
Because it's breakfast, I thought I would have a Founder's Breakfast Stout.
Oh, good.
There we go. So now we can really get going.
Oh my God, you really do have one. I'm impressed.
Yeah, you know, what the hell.
Brad Master says that he's about to watch this. He's about to watch us talk Cubs and other nonsense while at work. Why are you at work? If this doesn't get me fired, I don't know what will. Oh, that's good because Andy is not wearing pants. So if you need us to get you fired, you can just stand up.
Should I do it? Should I stand up and get us banned? No. You can't see my whole shirt. Here I have like this cool shirt that I bought, and you can barely see it. So there you go.
I've got holy cow.
No,
there's holy and there's cow.
Holy cow.
Just in case you didn't believe that the bottom part said cow. And what else was I going to say?
I don't know. This is off to a good start, though.
I know. Oh, boy. Oh, I was going to say, if we get someone fired from work, it's the same thing as me getting banned by all of the Cubs bloggers before I even have tweeted at them. It's very bizarre. People don't like me.
Did you see the Tribune ran an article on Brett? Is it Brett or Brent? Brett Taylor. Right? And about how he was a lawyer and he gave up his job to blog. And I thought, well, hell, I mean, you know, you basically did the same thing. You didn't really give up your job. They took it away from you. And then you had to blog and make a living doing it. So
yeah. Didn't Julie, wasn't she also a Cubby Julie?
Yeah, there's a lot of I'm outnumbered because I am the only non-lawyer.
I don't think Al was a lawyer. I was too busy. I would have read that article, but I was too busy rereading the article about how Al doesn't throw back home run balls.
And he writes hilarious messages. Oh boy, this has started earlier than I wanted it to. All right, guys, I have all 3 dogs. One of whom my wife, because you said it would be a great idea.
Work shirt.
Actually dressed for the occasion. So hey, Lucas,
put it down. BC says can't even get 2 minutes in, and you're showing off T-shirts. Come on, guys, patience.
Shirts are coming off later. Ladies, you might want to stick around.
Oh, here it is. Here's the chat. Okay. All right. And now I see. If anyone, I think now I can see group chat now. So if anyone does chat in the YouTube thing, I think it will show up here. But if not, we're probably not monitoring that. If you guys do want to say something,
shouldn't I be able to see that since it's my YouTube channel?
We're doing
great. Am I banned from that? YouTube shut it off. Like don't let him see it. Well, you worry about that. I'll monitor the tweets.
Wouldn't you think with all these postseason appearances? Yeah, you can tweet us at Desipio.com or at HireJamessian. Desipio.com all spelled out, right? Yeah.
All spelled out.
Wouldn't you
think there's some guy with an actual name Desipio who took just the at Desipio. I tried to sue him, but I don't think that's going to fly.
Those always work. With all these playoff appearances, you would think that we would have this down to a well-oiled machine. Did you tweet out, by the way, that this is live?
A few times. Yeah, that's why we have 20 viewers. Are you nervous? I think that's the biggest number we've ever had. Ever. So we probably, before we start to preview the National League Championship Series, and hopefully we do a better job this year than we did last year, should we talk about the end of the National League Division Series, which
is it over?
I'm still convinced that didn't actually happen.
I have a thing about that. But so
I'm still convinced that didn't actually happen. What was that?
Sorry,
are you hearing voices?
No, I tried to put it in, and that didn't work. I tried to look at the YouTube link so I could monitor that chat, but that won't work.
You can hear yourself?
Yeah. So a guy I went to school with and played soccer with the high school with, and he is just a meatball Sox fan. And he posted on Facebook that he's like, "Oh, Cubs win their division or the DS, and they have I see like 80 posts on Facebook, Cubs, 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 Cubs." And he's like, and then the Dodgers win, the team who the Cubs are gonna play, and no one says anything. He's like, y'all are a bunch of bandwagoners. And so I took a picture of me holding all of my tickets from this season, which is 20 plus tickets, and I'm like, I didn't post anything about it. I'm like, I'm like, thanks. Good thing you're here to call me a bandwagoner. And so he's like, well, I didn't mean you, of course. And like, I can't stand people for the most part. And if you're watching this,
so he couldn't understand why his Facebook feed wasn't full of
people
Dodger
talking
fans
about the Dodgers. Yeah. And I was like, why?
Well, maybe they want to relive the 59 World Series with the Sox. Maybe
that's
what they're into.
And like, I don't know. I don't get that. And like, because for me and personally, it doesn't matter at this point. I was scared of the Giants and I was scared of the Red Sox, and both of them are already gone. So like, think the Cubs match up well against
for whatever reason.
Dusty, just because Dusty is going to get de-pantsed. Oh. Well, he already got de-pantsed by Roberts, but I would have liked to have seen Madden do it.
For whatever reason, I honestly think, maybe it's because I'm an idiot, that the Giants are a more dangerous playoff team than the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers were a better team.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think
they have deeper starting pitching, and you just expected that the annoying Hunter Pence was going to throw his bat at a ball and break it into 6 pieces and still hit a home run.
I was more terrified of Hunter Pence in that series than Bumgarner, but and I did not want to see Game 5 with Cueto again. I was going to be at Game 5. I was at Game 1, but I've never been happier to not use tickets.
I heard that the Cubs knew you were going to be at Game 5, and so that's why they didn't want to have one.
I have never screamed more loudly by myself in my home than I did Monday and Tuesday night. I Pedro Strop fist pumped. I leaped out of my seat. Pedro Strop fist pumped and was screaming, "Fuck yes! All my pets hate me." Like it was that was the most exciting series, and each game got more exciting than the one before. I felt like it was awesome.
Well, it was a pretty crazy series. I mean,
it was great.
From the Javi home run that the wind almost fucked up in Game 1 to then it was MLB Network, right? They had Game 2 and they basically missed the Travis Wood home run. That was good. And then the ridiculous 7-hour game that they played in Game 3 where I stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning and for whatever reason felt like they're gonna lose, but I'm obviously not gonna not see it.
Well, at least you weren't Twitter/Facebook in Game 4 I was told that the season was over. I was as someone who I will remain unnamed in case he ever runs for Senate, told me that Madden lost the how did he phrase it? He lost the inning, game, and series and season in Game 3. Or no, I guess it was early. No, maybe it was Game 4 actually. But whoever said that and whoever gave up on this team, just don't even bother watching the championship series because you weren't paying attention to this team the entire year. And if you weren't expecting them to at least make it interesting, I feel bad for you.
Well, and I really thought.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Okay,
just the last thing that he said. He said that Rizzo should not start Game 4 or Game 5 because maybe he was already planning for Game 5. That Rizzo should sit, and I was like,
Yeah, there were a lot of people who were like, they should drop him in the batting order. Oh, okay. Yeah. Have Javi bat third. Now that's a great idea. Let's do that.
Yep.
I really felt like the Game 3 loss. When they tried to get through the 8th inning with a million different pitchers, and they clearly didn't want to roll this to pitch to Buster. Otherwise, I think they would have started the 8th inning with him. And so then they put him in almost an impossible spot. 2 on, nobody out. He strikes out Pence, and then Connor fucking Gillespie hits a ball over his head into the corner. That was the kind of that's the kind of Cub playoff loss that we're accustomed to.
Yeah.
But I felt like when in the very next inning, Bryant hits a home run to tie the game. I really felt like even if they lost it, which they did, it took that, oh my God, we choked feeling off the game. Certainly I don't think the players ever felt it. It's the only people we have to worry about are the fans, which is just the most ridiculous thing ever.
I don't worry or care about the fans.
Literally what I was worried about was if they lost game 4 was nobody sours and panics quicker than the fans at Wrigley when things are going bad. And I can almost feel that it would have been a mausoleum at some point during the game. But we don't have to worry about it now.
Excuse me. And I did not want to see Cueto with Bumgarner looming in the bullpen.
Yeah.
Because he pitched really well against them. The other, and looking back they were thinking back in, their vaunted postseason history. So was it game 2 in the championship series in 2003 that Sosa hit the home run to tie it, or game 1?
Game 1.
Game 1. That's the only thing I can think of that's even close to what you just said. Like that and you're right. Wrigley Field was, well, I guess Wrigley Field was kind of bumping for that. And then Sosa hit the home run and it went up for grabs. But I was there at game.
Well, and then Dusty fucked that game up. Not that we have to go relive all of Dusty's fuck ups.
No, let's do it. Let's do that.
How did that work? He somehow managed it so that he ended up with Mark Guthrie pitching to Mike Lowell.
Yeah.
And that.
Speaking of, people were talking about what's the proper etiquette of when you're supposed to fly your white flag. I said it doesn't matter as long as you have it as half-mast for Dusty.
Yeah. I feel bad for Dusty, really. I mean, he's such a good guy. And it's just terrible that he's
in the record book for
9 elimination games in a row.
Elimination games in a row lost. Hey, good for him. He did something.
I thought the perfect Dusty moment was he had 2 comments after the game when they lost the other night. The first one was somebody asked him, why did you take Max Scherzer out when he'd only thrown 100 pitches and only given up 1 run? And Dusty's answer was, well, the fans got all mad 2 years ago when they left Jordan Zimmerman in. So how could it be my fault that I took the starter out too early? He'd made the decision to try to not get blamed for something. And then he said, well, somebody asked him to look ahead to the next series. And he said, well, I mean, obviously the Cubs should have an edge because Kershaw and we kind of really wore out Kershaw and Kenley.
Great.
And then somebody tweeted, they had his quote, and then they showed a game log of like the last 10 starts in 2003 of both Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor, and how they threw like 130 pitches in every single game. There was a game, I didn't even remember this. There was a game where Bryant pitched 9 2/3 innings down the stretch in September 2003. Pryor.
Oh, Pryor.
He did the 10th in a game. And it's like, yep, as if anybody ought to know, the ill effects of wearing out a pitcher, it ought to be Dusty.
Well, then in the game 2, whatever, the blowout game against the Marlins in 2003. Why are we
just left this? Yeah, I don't know. It's because we're piling on Dusty, which is always fun.
Yeah, screw Dusty, though. BC says that Dusty was scared of Lenny Harris. That's why he got to that matchup, which is a good point.
Honestly, that might very well have been true.
Yeah, totally. He couldn't wait to get Lenny on that team. I guess that was after Lenny.
The Cubs had gotten rid of Lenny was playing in 2003.
So again,
and then the Cubs let him go when they got Aramis, and the Marlins got him.
That's right.
Dusty was afraid of him because Lenny is the greatest pinch hitter of all time.
Dorkymo tweeted out that he's got your dumb face. I'll just retweet this so people can see it next to Gears of War 4, which we forgot to do movie and video game picks at the end of last podcast.
I'm sure we'll remember to do that at the end of this one. If fans want to know how long this is going to go for, it's probably
up to game time. We'll have
you might miss first pitch if you're just watching us.
I have to perform tonight, so I'm sorry you guys will miss my snarky tweets through the entire game because I will be on about an hour and a half time delay. No, about a 2.5 hour time delay, unfortunately. So,
Lucas, what are you doing back there?
I was able to completely avoid because I had to do it for Saturday's game. Whatever that was, that 3? Yeah, whatever. No, 2. Game 2. So I had to watch that on delay. And the first thing someone walked up to me right before we started, they're like, "Hey, 1-0," and I'm like, "God damn."
It never works. We
had to tell people before the show not to tell me the score. And I'm like, this is gonna be BC says to hurry it up. We have Illinois
Rutgers at 11. Yeah.
We'll actually cover that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was wrong about it going 5 games in the DS. I'm trying to remember.
I was wrong. I thought it was going to go 3, but I was so close. Who was closer? Was I closer to it going 3, or were you closer to it? You were closer to it going 5.
I was definitely closer to it going 5. Did you not pay any attention to Twitter? It was a dumpster fire on Twitter.
this season, they're not playing tonight. The season's over.
Yeah.
Cub Twitter forfeited, and so the Cubs aren't allowed to play in the NLCS.
I picked the. I don't remember who I picked. If I picked Nats or Dodgers or.
I don't think we did. Didn't we just talk about who we'd rather face and we couldn't decide, so we didn't pick?
Yeah, probably.
I didn't really care. I actually think it's better to get the Dodgers because
you
don't have to deal with Daniel Murphy.
Yep.
That guy.
And
or Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Or all of the Dusty storylines, which would have got so tired so fast. I mean, Fox doesn't need any excuse to show all that shit anyway, but imagine how much extra they would show it if Dusty was sitting in the other dugout choking on his toothpick.
And I think Scherzer's almost as scary as Kershaw. And
yeah, they worked out good that he's burned, and he would have been burned until game 3. And Kershaw's going to start game 2, but I mean,
probably,
is it really smart to start a guy with a bad back who just pitched twice, pitched on what was it, 3 days rest and then 1 day's rest, and is going to come back on? I can't do the math.
And to be fair,
if it's tomorrow. He didn't throw many pitches, but still, I mean, you got to get up, you got to warm up in the bullpen. I would imagine there's just a little bit of adrenaline when you're coming in to try to finish off. So hopefully, what I'm saying is hopefully his arm flies off on like the third pitch, and then he has to pitch right-handed the rest of the game.
If Connor Gillespie can square up 102 miles an hour, I think there's probably some superhuman adrenaline that's running through the playoffs.
Do you think Giants fans are as
stupid?
Apocalyptic about that's not right. Apoplectic, not apocalyptic. That would be good. That Javi Baez killed them, as Cub fans would have been had Connor Gillespie killed them. I mean, Javi's a good player, but he's not the guy you would expect is gonna, have the kind of at bats that he had routinely against them, which was great. Very impressive.
So that I wussed out and didn't just say that Baez was going to be the guy that won the division series because I wanted Hayward.
Well, you said Hayward, and that's almost the same because he had such a good bunt there in the ninth, and that was the key to the whole inning. He knew Brandon Crawford was going to throw it into the dugout.
His hustle though forced that. I mean, his feet barely touched the ground on the way to. Well,
there was some StatCast claimed that on average he gets to first base in a little over 4 seconds. Right. And he was there at 3.7. The fastest he got into first all year was on that bunt. Yeah. And part of it is because he's bunting, he's leaning that way, and he was busting his ass. It did have something to do with it. I'm sure Gillespie or Crawford hurried it up.
Yeah.
Because there's a 6'5", 250-pound man screaming down the first baseline. He's hard to miss. And that worked out well for the Cubs because anybody could have scored then on Javi's hit, but they had one of their best base runners and fastest base runners at second instead of Crazy Wilson Contreras, who may have at that point run the wrong way just out of excitement. But
how about the unsung hero? Well, he's not unsung obviously because he's Javi Baez, and I love that he's having his coming out party nationally. But Barry just tweeted that Coughlin was the key to the 9th of Game 4.
It was. That was his most productive appearance in the game ever. Was walking halfway to the dish, turning around, and getting back in the dugout.
Javi's base running from scoring from second on that one that landed just in front of what's that red ass center fielder?
Span.
Oh yeah, Span. Who was frightening me in the series too? Everyone was frightening me. Yeah. But Javi didn't. I mean, he got such a perfect read on that ball, and he was 5 feet behind whoever was in front of him, Hayward probably.
He almost caught up to Hayward.
Yeah, he had a heck of a series.
So we should take odds on that. Will Javi pass someone on the base pass?
And then what else should we talk about? Oh, so I thought that series was going to go 5, that the Cubs would win. And I don't think there's going to be an elimination. I don't think they're going to see an elimination game for the next 2 series.
That was my prediction last time, was that they wouldn't do that all year. Yeah. So far, I'm right.
Yeah, good job. So I was having the same issue still, Dodgers and Nationals, of who we'd rather see. I think that this is the better matchup. I agree with you. Not that the Dodgers can't hit, but I think that they can't hit as well as the Nationals. And you're right. I'm a little scared of Daniel Murphy for some stupid reason.
Well, he was great in the in the series against the Dodgers again.
Yeah, it was good.
Even with his anal fissure, which is the greatest injury ever.
I'm glad to see if Connor Gillespie wins the batting title next year, though. That'd be upsetting.
I don't think you have to worry about that. The thing I didn't like about Connor Gillespie was, for a guy this was clearly his moment, like his 1 week where he was, the best he'll ever be. He looked so like
terrified.
Yeah, like even when he'd get a base hit and he'd be on first base, like, what do I do now? It's like you were wasn't he like the 9th pick in the draft or something? I mean, he was supposed to be really good, and so the fact that he has a little ability shouldn't surprise anybody. But
didn't they say
he looked terrified that he was like, all of a sudden playing well?
I think they said he wasn't the same draft as like Posey. We could look this up. Can we get is your fact checker here?
Yeah. All right. I'll get one of the dogs on it. They've all abandoned me. I had 3 here a minute ago, and now they're all gone. Somebody looked that up and tweeted to us. Where's Huey's probably not up. He probably won't be up until like 6:30. Almost missed the game.
Anyhow, good series. Glad it went our way. Now,
how did you enjoy Bob Costas? Because I thought really I'm so disappointed that we're not going to get any more of him. In his rambling. He did game 2.
Oh, I would have said more angry things about it then, but I was on tape delay watching it by myself.
Yes, you could fast forward through half of his inanity.
Yeah,
he was bad. I used to like. Well, I used to love him. And you're just kind of ready for that. But he used to at least be a pretty good announcer. And now he was just. I mean, he clearly had like a stack of shit he was going to get through in 3 hours. And he would Smoltz is a really good analyst, I think, but he was terrible. He was terrible in game 2, and it took me a while to figure it out. It's because Costas talked so much that Smoltz had like half the time he normally had to try to get his points across, and he was fumbling over himself because he was starting to miss pitches. And then when Vasgersian came back for game 3, it was fine again.
Vasgersian's call of Baez's home run is one of my favorite in game 1. Is
just
one of my
screams basically.
Oh my god!
And then you can almost hear a little terror in his voice when he realizes, because when he hit it, everybody thought Javi hit it like 500 feet. And you could hear Vasgersian scream, and then he's like, holy crap, this might get caught.
It might not go. Yeah.
And that's why Pat's call is so subdued. He'd seen that before. And then Pat almost figured it was going to get caught. So Pat got surprised the opposite way, that it landed in the basket, where Vasgersian got surprised it almost wasn't a home run.
Well, everyone in that park, when he hit it, everyone's like, oh my God. Yeah. And then everyone saw Pagan starting to camp under it. And we're like, and then when it landed in the basket, at least where my seats are, that was hard to see that it landed in the basket. So that's what everyone was, someone tweeted at me that they're like, was it not that loud at Wrigley? Because it didn't seem that loud on TV. We were super confused about whether Baez, well, at least I was. The people by my seats were very confused about whether or not that was a home run. So that explains that. Gillespie was drafted 37th the same year as Posey. That's what I thought they had said. I didn't.
So, that's right. I guess he was he's technically a first rounder, but he was one of those
like
sandwich picks or whatever. Yeah. Or bubbles. Wrong, but much more fun. Call it whatever you want. I've heard it both ways, but I've never
Thank you guys. Thank you, Magna Carta, and thank you, BC, for looking that up for us.
And BC, as this is wont, is now already got himself worked up that we get Joe Buck for the rest of the playoffs.
I saw that.
But you know what happens? You know what happens when you get Joe Buck? It means you're either almost in the World Series or you're in the World Series. So I will take his smugness and his hair plug addiction, which is the greatest
almost
thing.
Killed him.
It's the greatest thing ever.
Okay, you might as well explain that, because that's amazing.
So apparently, I don't know how many years ago it was, because it was pretty obvious. I mean, Joe was pretty bald there for a while and doing a lot of creative combing. And then all of a sudden he had a relatively healthy head of hair, although it's still very carefully arranged. And I guess he claims he had 8 hair plug procedures in like 2 years. And in one of them, they put some like weird collar on you. Like I picture it like when you take the dog to the vet and you get the thing.
Yeah.
The funnel that they have to wear on their head. So apparently they put a funnel on Joe, and it was leaning on one of his vocal cords, and it paralyzed his vocal cord. And so I remember because he claimed you could barely hear him there for like 6 months when he was doing games. And I made a lot of really mature AIDS jokes because he claimed he had a virus. Well, he didn't have a virus. It was because his hair plug procedure had gone bad, and the anesthetic collar had pinched his vocal cord, and they didn't know if it would come back, but it did. And it's all because he was addicted to hair plugs. So,
yeah, that's amazing.
Do you think he gets them in his face now? Because that beard is just, it doesn't look like it fills in exactly everywhere. I would guess will they do that? Will they staple hair plugs into your face so you can grow a beard? I'm Irish. I can't grow a decent beard.
I can't grow a beard either. Maybe we should try. Are you doing it? I'm not cutting my hair for the entire playoffs, although I also haven't cut my hair for about a month before. So that's going to be my contribution to the playoff beard. I just won't get a haircut until the playoffs are over. Well, until the Cubs are no longer in them, but that will be at the end of the playoffs.
I don't have any crazy superstitions other than I won't wear pants until they win.
Great.
Other than that I think people seem to like that, especially at like the grocery store.
Cool. Anyhow, you done with that bit? He says he's been completely calm and collected during these playoffs. I wouldn't know because I had to unfollow you. I'm sorry. My unfollow button was in overdrive on whatever it was during game 3. I was like, nope.
Yeah, the guy I had to talk in off the ledge.
You didn't have to. Just push.
I did. Yeah, I pushed him off the ledge. Was Al Yellen number book co-author Casey Ignarski.
Why?
When they blew the lead in the 8th inning, and I don't know that I follow him, but I must have just people were retweeting his panic. He basically had declared that it was San Diego all over again, and they were doomed. And all I tweeted to him was, this team is not that team, and it seemed to calm him down.
Good job. You're like
I thought so. I did a public service. I haven't heard from him since. He may have killed himself, but I hope he didn't.
Okay. So looking ahead, I'm just trying to rein this back in
to the World Series.
Yeah. All right. Well, we can do that because I assume we both think that they're gonna. Okay. Well, let's just say how many games do you think they're gonna beat the Dodgers in?
Cubs in 5.
I'm gonna say 6.
That's because you do have tickets for Game 6. Is that what you want to be?
7. 6? No, I'd be happy to not. I have tickets to the World Series Game 4. If that's the clincher, I'd be very happy. But I'm happy to not see. I have tickets tomorrow and then Game 7 to the CS and then Game 4 of the World Series. So I'm not. Yeah, I be a clincher.
Obviously, it could go. It's not going to go 3 because you have to win 4. But any number 4 or higher, I think it could do that. How's that for a pick? No, I think that every time a team actually goes to the World Series, wins the World Series, they have some ridiculous thing that they have to overcome to get there. And the Cubs just don't do that. And that they did when they won Game 4, when they came back from 3 runs down in the 9th. It's like, I remember which Yankee team it was, but the only reason that they got past the A's in the first round was the Jeremy Giambi decided he didn't want to slide, and Derek Jeter showed up in a spot where the shortstop is never supposed to be. I mean, it's stuff like that happens. And
it's such a gritty play, though.
And if you don't win one of those, chances are that's usually the thing that kind of turns the tide. And I'm hoping that that's what it was. Although I would not put it past this bunch to do something similar again in this round, because the best thing about them, and it even started last year, they don't quit. Even in games where you think, they're out of it, they somehow managed to scrape it together, and you look up in the 9th inning, and they had the tying run at the plate in a game where you thought was over an hour and a half ago. So
unlike Cubs Twitter, they don't quit.
Right. If they read Cubs Twitter, they'd be in the fetal position and, the 3rd inning of every game and just be going home.
Barry tweeted at us, and thank you for this, that, he retweeted Carrie, our good friend, the Bun. The CS roster is going to include Zastrinski and Listella's off the list.
Oh, that's too bad, because I like Joe actively trying to not use Tommy. That was good. Do they know yet if Miggy is going to be on the roster? Because his back apparently has.
I think he's off and Schwarber's on.
Yeah, should be. Kyle was doing shuffle drills in the outfield the other day.
He's fine.
He's clearly ready.
He just got to learn to square up a 98-mile-an-hour heater.
Does he have less outfield range than Ben Zobrist does?
Zobrist did not have a great series. He is.
Zobrist actually did the Schwarber in
man.
game 2. Or was that game 1? Which was it? Where he slid
Game
past the
1.
ball and had to go chase it. 1, because it ended up
1.
not hurting them.
Yeah.
Lester got out of it. But I think we're going to see that, because I don't think Joe's going to want to move Javi off second.
He has to. I mean, Javi has to start the rest.
If he does it, he'll do it tonight, and it'll be Javi will play third, and Brian will play left.
Yeah.
They try to put Javi where they think the most ground balls will get hit, so they look at their little chart. And maybe it's because the Giants really did. Their best hitters, they don't have a lot of good ones, but like Posey and Pence and Span really did try to hit the ball at the middle of the field a lot. So I guess it did make sense to have Javi at second. It could be that they decide third base is going to be, because typically when Lester pitched, the reason Javi played third is that's where the ball went most of the time.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll know if Javi's playing third instead of second that's where they expect the ball to go.
Yeah.
The other thing I like about having Javi at third, I'm just going to talk over you for the rest of the time.
Go ahead.
Is that he's super aggressive on bunts, and that really helps Lester out, because Lester wants to defer to anybody. And so he'll have Rizzo basically breathing down his neck from one side. And there was a couple of times this year where a ball was bunted out just far enough where the catcher wasn't going to get it, and Javi got it and threw to first, which is ridiculous. Your third baseman should not be able to get to the ball that fast, but he does.
He's a freak. Richard Siegel says Stella says he refuses to go to Iowa again. Nobody's bothering to explain it to him.
I'm sure he's gone now. He just drove home when they found out he's not on the roster.
And BC says that we have to keep Coughlin so Joe can show him as a pinch hitter, but then use another hitter. But there's other lefty. LaStella would have been fine to occupy that role. I just don't. I hate Coughlin's stupid face, and I don't want him on the field celebrating another series win. That was my only beef about them.
Well, they're still going to be on the field. I mean, they're not. No, they're still going to. The guys who don't play are in the dugout.
Well, if Schwarber's literally not even a baseball
player. He doesn't have a uniform on. He's got his USA shorts and a sweatshirt on. He's running around on the field. Some security guy's going to try to tackle him. Think he's a fan, and Kyle will just stiff arm him right into the turf.
Kyle would not. Kyle's way too positive and exuberant to be a Cubs fan.
Yeah, if he ever looks panicked in the dugout, then we're
in trouble.
That should be the barometer. If Schwarber looks like, oh my God, we're screwed. Yeah, it's pack it up.
I like that someone called you on the fact that I love the way you write Schwarber as like the Hulk smash voice. But I love the commercial where he's talking about, whatever, Cubs winning or whatever. And then it cuts back and he's very well spoken and articulate.
He went to Indiana. There's no way he's actually well spoken. They must have dubbed that commercial for him.
But did he grow up in Indiana? Like I think
he did, because weren't both him and Clayton Richard Mr. Football in Indiana?
Oh yeah, you're right. I spent 7 years in Indiana.
No, I know. I love everything. All that is good-natured Kyle. It's the fact that he looks like Bam Bam. That's why I write Kyle like that.
And he just mashes the baseball.
It's basically the whole idea is to get the idea that all he worries about is how hard he's going to hit a baseball.
So that was Jordan Burnfield. He didn't tweet at us because he's far too important, but he said that's the only change from the DS roster is Zastrinski.
How would he know? He's too busy trying to grow those ridiculous sideburns. He was on when I was driving home from the Y last night, and Lawrence Holmes had Burnfield on as like a Cubs expert, and it's always frustrating, for those of us who are just avid fans, when you know more than the expert does. And he's throwing out like the most banal crap about the series. Like, I'm glad he's on talking about this. Well, I think the key is for the Cubs to score more runs than the Dodgers. Thank you, Jordan. That's great. Keep up the great analysis. That's what we want to know.
Remember when we knew him when we were on Cap Show, and
him and Mark Carmen were the producers when we were on. Yeah,
and they are now just wildly successful.
Yeah, here we are. Burnfield does updates.
You're in your basement
every once in a while, and Carmen does Cap's TV show, which Cap won't let us do, which I never understood.
Both two Brians, Magna Carta and BC, pointed out that Schwarber's from Ohio, Southern Ohio.
Oh, he is from Ohio? I guess he wasn't. That's Brian amazing that he was Mr. Football in Indiana. That's how good he was. They're like, that guy, he'd be the best player in our state. Let's give him the trophy.
Southern, Brian points out, or Magna Carta points out Southern Ohio, though.
So Kentucky.
Indiana. Yeah. Thank you guys for fact checking because we don't have the energy
nice.
this morning.
They're like our stat boy for the World Series podcast. We should actually have them come up, to your house, and you can just turn, and there he'll be. We'll have BC sitting on a stool, fact checking.
Yeah, it could be like Luther, the key character from the fact check, or like as Obama's rage.
Yeah,
interpreter.
He could be our translator.
Take all those words that I just said and rearrange them so it makes a good sentence.
That might take a while.
Okay, and so I'm thinking that Cleveland is now the hot team in the AL, which I would love for them to beat the Blue Jays, because the Blue Jays, I think, are the best team left other than the Cubs.
Oh, I think the Cubs would. They'd have to score runs, but I think they would. I think the Cubs would bludgeon the Blue Jays pitching staff.
I think they would beat either one.
I also think that Jose Bautista sucks now, which is nice.
Yeah.
So he's easily pitched to.
Cleveland's decimated, though, still.
Decimated?
They don't have...
Pitching-wise, yeah. Their Salazar and Carrasco are both out. And which one of them? Salazar? I don't know. I don't know the difference. One of them was almost healthy enough to pitch in the LCS, so they think he might be able to pitch in the World Series.
All right.
But the other one is out for the year. Yeah, I mean, I think it was important for them to win last night because Kluber really is their one really good pitcher, considering that they can't pitch Bauer in Game 2 because he hurt his finger fixing a drone.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo.
Francona was funny about that, though.
He was another one of those guys. There were two guys on the Diamondbacks that Miggy hated. Adam Eaton and Trevor Bauer. And we know he was right about Eaton, and he may very well have been right about Bauer. But Bauer did that weird stuff where he would stand behind the mound and want a long toss and throw as hard as he could from 80 feet. And the catcher has to just stand there and go, okay, fine. Pitchers have been warming up for 100 years, but you figured out the secret way to do it. So let's humor you now. This will be great. So yeah, I think, but you run into Andrew Miller if you face Cleveland.
Yeah.
And that guy's freaking amazing. So
yeah, he's the guy that
and Terry knows how to use him.
Yeah, we should have got him.
Is that a ZZ Top? ZZ Top? He's got Miller and he knows how to use him. Legs, whatever. I don't know.
Good one.
How old am I?
These early morning bits are better than your normal bits.
Almost time for beer number 2. My wife just came down and looked at me and she goes, she's mouthing in the background, "Are you drinking coffee?" And I go, "No." She goes, "Oh, beer?" And she just laughed.
Tell Barry I say hello.
I guess I'm about to go run, so that'll be even better. So those of you on the bike path, get ready for some guy to throw up on you at some point. That'll be fun.
At least you're getting your electrolytes in.
This is what I normally drink for breakfast every day.
Oh,
so I'm just rotating.
Cool. And for you that are listening, do we even have an audio feed of this podcast anymore?
Yes, we do. It's on iTunes. Okay. People, we have hundreds and hundreds of subscribers theoretically.
Okay, so for those people, I can confirm that Andy really is drinking a
and if you missed the very beginning, if you're on audio, you did hear it. Today's broadcast is sponsored by Founders Brewing Breakfast Stout. So see, it's breakfast. It's allowed. It says right there with the fat little baby right on the label. It's an excellent beer. They only brew it in the fall.
BC said to check with the Cardinals to see if you can get a DUI while riding a bike. Although
I'll be running.
Yeah,
I'll be running. Not riding a bike. Can you get a DUI running? I don't think you can. Public intoxication is what they have a different ticket for that.
Yeah.
So I'll stop at 1.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
At the end, I'll do the alphabet backwards like Tony La Russa and see how I do. Z, Y, X, 2, 4. Is that a significant number? Tony needs a job. Is there a spot in the front office maybe for the Cubs for him? Because we could use that kind of lockdown genius to help us.
Soon there will be a Sox front office opening. If this latest,
did we talk about Ricky Renteria? Because
no.
I don't want to. No, that's good.
I'm
glad he seemed like a nice enough guy. I'm glad he got a job.
Yeah, I like him. I think that team is terrible enough that they will keep him down even if he is a decent manager. I mean, he had bad Cubs teams to manage, and he did a nice job with them. They
just
were
one.
Bad.
He only had one.
Yeah, one team.
He was there one measly year, and then
Madden became available, which thank God.
And then Theo and Jed cheated on him in a Daytona Beach trailer park, and he was out of a job.
Did you see the two pictures that they put next to each other, Theo in like the 8th inning or whatever of Game 4, and then just crushing a beer in the locker room afterwards? That was very enjoyable.
I found it odd that they had to sit in the stands at AT&T Park.
I don't think they had to.
But would they sit in the stands? I mean, don't you want a little? I mean, if I was him, I'd want to be able to like freak out and throw shit and yell, and you can't do that when you're in the 3rd row and surrounded by Giants fans. Because at the end, when they're all excited, the other Giants fans behind them are like, whatever. Time to go get high, because that's what they do out there in San Francisco. They just smoke the dope all the time.
Oh boy!
Unlike anywhere else.
I heard they shit on sidewalks an awful lot out there too. It's a very gross city. It's a very
I've been there several times. It's a very voluminous
homeless community,
homeless population. And ironically, for me, when I moved to beautiful Traverse City, Michigan, which is a lovely place, also a tremendous amount of homeless people. And I thought, you picked the worst freaking town, not because Traverse City is very homeless friendly. That's why they're there. In fact, they move up from all over Michigan because there's more shelters, there's more services for them. But the winter lasts forever, and they're stuck. At least in San Francisco, it's 60 degrees every day.
Yeah.
So that seems like a much better place to have to sleep on the street.
Is La Russa really not fired from Arizona? I thought
he got fired.
I thought he did too.
I thought he got fired after. I thought they got rid of Dave Stewart, and then a couple of days later they launched Tony. Maybe not.
I thought so too, but Magna Carta has been right on everything so far, so I'm just going to take it on faith that he still works for.
Well, that's too bad, because the Cubs could have really used Tony.
It looked like he was about to be fired, so we'll just call it that.
It would be typical Tony if he could somehow. He managed to screw everything up, and he gets to fire everybody but him.
Yeah. It's like Pete Carroll leaving USC right before they
for the axe fell.
Okay. So who's your? Oh, did they already announce? Did they already announce the starting lineup for tonight?
They announced the starting lineup.
What's that?
But don't we know pretty much? Don't the Cubs pretty much use the same starting lineup all the time?
Yeah, I don't think Madden ever.
The only difference would be where the guys stand in the field instead of where they bat, because it's going to be, well, I guess the catcher's always a wild card, but not tonight because we know it's Dave Ross because it's John Lester. So.
Oh, we've got something to talk about all of a sudden. Clearly, Mighty Mike D knew that we were spinning our wheels. So at Brett Black,
that's not a tough thing to guess is that's going to happen.
Tweet it at us and I'll retweet this if you guys want to see this horseshit. He says, "Did you guys see this horseshit in the LA Times?" Goddamn LA Times. Okay. It says it's Plaschke. So
oh god, he is the worst.
Yep, he is. Is the column is headlined, "Is anyone else sick of the Cubs and their long suffering narrative?" Oh, I'm sick of Wrigley Field with Bill Murray roaming the stands. You picked the best, unless you pick Eddie Vedder. You picked the only cool Cubs fan. You could have been like, I'm sick of John Cusack. I'm sick of Belushi. I'm sick of any Bonnie Hunt or Bonnie Hunt.
Yeah, Bonnie Hunt. The only person nobody's sick of because he's constant entertainment and one of the funniest people ever. I think everyone will know, noted funny man Tom Dreesen. Nobody doesn't like him. He's the best.
I went out with a girl that was very good friends with Tom Dreesen. I had to like bite my lip bloody every time she brought him home.
You got to stop combing the nursing home for dates. How is anybody that was born after the 50s friends with Tom Dreesen?
Well, she's an actress, so I should have known that there was something.
Why would an actress? What connections does Tom possibly have? I mean, Sinatra's been dead for 30 years.
Oh, this is right. Magna Carta has pointed out that they're changing La Russa's responsibilities, and he says, so maybe he's a ball boy now.
That would be great. They put him on a stool down the first base line. He's got to try to keep the ball out of the stands, protect the bullpen.
Dorky Mo points out this, and thank you, Mighty Mike, for tweeting that column because it is garbage. Dorky Mo points out that we wouldn't have a narrative if the media didn't shove it down our throats. I'm sure, guys, we should actually if you could stomach it, we should comb through Plaschke's history and see how many times he's written about the GOAT and all that bullshit. Yeah, I can't believe a team that hasn't been in the World Series since the World War II is being shoved down people's throats. So sorry. Let's talk about this. This is a really cool thing that pretty much. I mean, the most recent team to win is the Blue Jays. That's left. Which I mean, it doesn't seem like whatever that is. 20 years is that long, but
how about the team that has won of the 4 teams left? The team that has most recently won a World Series game is the Indians.
Yeah, 97.
Whenever they lost to the Braves. It was the Marlins first.
No, Marlins.
It was 95, 97.
97 was the Marlins, right?
So that's even a long time.
Yeah, good point. I mean, in the grand scheme, it doesn't feel like that long a time for those fucking teams. But I'm sorry, I don't want to shove Cubs narrative down your guys' throats. So that will be cool. So I like that it's fresh faces in the World Series, no matter who it is. And obviously, the freshest face in the World Series would be the Cubs.
Well, and they must be I would guess they're still the youngest team out of the 4, average-wise.
Yeah, someone look all these.
So think about that. That's the real reason that baseball is so tired of the narrative, is that they know they're about to, embark on a decade where they have to put up with the Cubs all the time. Actually, it started last year. So get used to it. If you think you're sick of us now, just wait. You're going to get really sick of us.
So am I capable of reading this hitting the highlights on this Plaschke thing?
I don't know if you are or not.
I don't know. You talk about something, and I'll skim this and see if there's anything that we should.
I was thinking, who's the Connor Gillespie for the Dodgers in this round? And at first thought it was Justin Turner, but I think he's too good to be the Connor Gillespie. I mean, he was good in the playoffs last year, and he was good this year, so he's disqualified. So the only guy I can come up with is that their left field, their part-time left fielder, that Andrew Tolles, the sprinter who they somehow decided they're going to play in the left field, who was in the instructional league or something last year. And I could see him being particularly irritating tonight if he gets on base with Lester.
It's a good thing he won't.
And I guess the thing about it is, if you could pick who that person is, then that's not the person, because you shouldn't be able to pick who it is.
True. And if anyone gets on, Ross is just going to throw him out either at first or second anyhow. So it doesn't matter.
Will Chase Utley take out Addison or Javi? And will that start a brawl that will result in Jorge Soler throwing Chase Utley into the upper deck?
Chase Utley being the guy. And he's a disgusting human being. So
why is his hair always wet?
I don't know.
It's always wet. It's
Just
been wet for years.
Give you a little sample of this Plaschke. I'm sick of Wrigley Field being painted as a quaint ball yard. Is it not a quaint ball? And also his use of the word ball yard.
Ball yard, which is not a thing.
Yeah, when Bill Murray roams the stands, singing celebrities visit the broadcast booth, pricey rooftop suites line the buildings beyond the outfield, which no one really sits.
Nobody does that anymore. No.
And the average price for the upcoming National League Championship Series is $750 a ticket.
And how does that affect anyone reading the LA Times? It doesn't at all.
Exactly. And how much are Championship Series tickets in LA? And if they're not up to that much,
they didn't sell out the NLDS Game 4. The bleachers were only half full, so probably not that much.
Fuck them.
They got Rams fever. They can't be bothered with the Dodgers anymore. Oh, what did they play? Football? Have we not had a team? No, you haven't. Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. Magna Carta says, be careful with taking Plaschke on. Paul DePodesta did that, and he's somehow now working for the Cleveland Browns.
That's very true.
We should have Magna Carta on this. He's killing it better.
We should have his own
better
podcast.
Than we are.
We could be guests on his podcast.
Hey, here's one question I did want to have about this series. Rich Hill. How badly is Rich Hill going to shit his pants on the Cubs? I assume he's going to start what?
He's probably game 3, right?
Okay.
So he only threw. He didn't pitch very much in either game. He didn't make it out of the 4th inning either time.
And man, I wish he was pitching at Wrigley. I mean, I guess he could if we, depending on how long the series.
I hope he has a flashback. They put him out there. thinks back to Game 3 in 2007. And
could we get Lou to come back just to scream at him from the dugout?
They should just hang a picture of Lou in the Dodger dugout, and Rich will just go home. I can't do this, man. I can't. Yes, so I fully expect he'll go like 8 innings and give up 1 hit. But actually, I don't, because he's Rich Hill. I mean, even if when he pitches well, he somehow manages to blister himself to the point where they have to take him out. So
yeah. So here's Plaschke's point, if you can find it. He's pointing out that the Dodgers are the real Cinderellas in the cliche story.
Why would they possibly be the real? Don't they have a payroll of like $250 million?
I don't know.
I know they have Adrian Gonzalez and they have Corey Seager.
He says
and they have Clayton fucking Kershaw and Kenley. They're really good. So they can't be the Cinderella. So fuck you, Bill. Your narrative is tired and dumb, and go away.
In his defense, he did say none of this is actually the Cubs' fault. By all accounts, they're a good group of guys managed by everyone's favorite uncle, Joe Madden. They're baseball's best team by a wide margin, blah, 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 blah. But seriously, the Dodgers are the real Cinderellas in this cliche story. Their 28-year drought doesn't compare to the Cubs, and this is Madden speaking. We have more than multiple decades, Madden said with a laugh Friday, but Dodgers fans are just as frustrated as Cubs fans. Well, I added as Cubs fans.
For the 6 innings that they actually are at the game, then yes.
Yeah. The Cubs drought is 80 years longer than the Dodgers quote-unquote drought.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you for tweeting that at us. I feel sick to my stomach. What a fucking moron.
So yesterday I caught a little, I don't know why, of Cap's little gab fest on ESPN 1000. And this is a star-studded panel that he had on
He's another Cubs blogger that blocked me, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
Who?
Cap. He blocked my personal Twitter account for some reason.
And then claimed he didn't, right?
Yeah, I have like 10 total tweets on that account in the history of that account, and for some reason I cannot follow Cap's tweets.
So the star-studded panel he had on yesterday it was ESPN's Pedro Gomez and ESPN Chicago's Jesse Rogers. And Jesse was full of exciting factoids. Did you know that the first 4 games of the series are all scheduled to start at 7:08 local time, or Chicago time? And in military time, what is 7:08 p.m.?
1908.
1908.
Oh.
The Cubs need to win 4 games.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
The Cubs need to win 4 games to get to the World Series. How many outs in regulation do you need to win 4 games? That's math. 108.
Oh, God.
So numerology has all lined up. And so I heard that yesterday and thought, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Well, apparently this morning on SportsCenter, Pedro dropped both of those nuggets because he was just so impressed by them. It's like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Don't listen to Jesse about anything.
That's probably why Plaschke had to write this narrative.
Jesse's a complete idiot. I've mentioned this before that my friends in the Chicago media like to instant direct message me on Twitter during the games. One of them very excitedly wanted me to know that Sullivan had to sit next to Jesse for both of the games in the press box in San Francisco, because he knew that was killing Paul to have to sit next to that fucking idiot. So,
in his defense, I watched some of the Periscope of them. I've never been so hyped. He Periscoped their warm-ups yesterday, so I was watching that for about 10 minutes. Although, to be fair, I also watched a clickhole video of a guy trying to steal a vase for about 20 minutes. So, whatever.
Does Cap still do the weird thing where he promos his show from the sauna? Have you seen that?
Oh, I've seen it before.
Yeah. Shirtless, sweaty Cap sitting in a sauna in his house, screaming at his phone about what amazing guests he's going to get on, which are mostly just the people that that ESPN has to let him have on because they work for ESPN, and Tom Izzo, because by rule he has to have Tom Izzo on every show. So should have Lupe Izzo on. She's much better.
I wish I never thought I would yearn for Plesac's stupid train, but those goddamn Hulk fists are the worst thing to happen to Cubs baseball in.
It had to kill Cap that the big comeback happened on a Jewish holiday, and so Luke Stuckmeyer got to blue fist Holly after the biggest win of the season. I'm sure Cap is laying in his bed at home, screaming at the TV, "I want Todd to fist me." His wife is like, "What? Oh, for God's sakes!" How did that ever become a thing? I know how it became a thing.
Don't know.
They did the real, which is just completely lame. They would fist bump, and then probably some 19-year-old intern found those stupid. They're the ones you're supposed to drink a beer out of. Right. So they bought 2 of them, and they used those after game 1, I think, when they were doing their post game live on the field. Cap's talking. He throws it to Holly, who's talking, and Cap thinks the camera they're showing highlights. So you can see him like yelling at a producer. He's like, and he's mouthing it so he doesn't say it. He's like, fist, I need the fist. And I'm like, holy shit, he's pissed off because they don't have the stupid blue fist. And to his credit, Stuckmeyer screen capped it and immediately tweeted it out. Like, here's Cap begging for his stupid fist.
Nice.
And somebody found him. And so like 10 minutes into the post game, they finally got to do that stupid thing. It's like, why is that a thing? That's almost as fresh as Dan Jiggetts trying to stave off a heart attack for another day, drinking labelless Kool-Aid on the set after a Bear game if they win.
Oh, it's insane.
I assume he's still done it. I don't think I've watched a Bears postgame for 2 years, but I assume Jiggetts is still doing that.
Do you know what the amazing thing is about the Cubs being such an amazing team is I have not watched a single snap of Bear football or Notre Dame football. And I apparently have not missed anything. That's nice.
No, you haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't watched much of either.
Yeah, I haven't watched a snap. I take it back. I might have watched a couple minutes of Bears football, but I haven't. I don't even know who Notre Dame's playing today, to be honest with you.
So if there's a game 5, that's Thursday night, I think.
Yeah, because I'm going to that one. Wait, no, never mind.
No, you're not going. Unless you're going to LA, you're not going to that one.
Yep. No, that's game 4.
So wait a minute. So Saturday, Sunday, and then day off, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So everybody game 5. The Bears play the Packers apparently on Thursday night. So how about that? No one. Well, Sox fans. No one is going to watch the Bears in the Packer game in Chicago. Which is
didn't you say that they're going to win in 4?
5.
Oh, you said 5.
That's the clincher. So everybody's going to watch it, and then you're going to watch all the post game. And how about the fact I've been trying to record all these? I have recorded all these games, but because they're going so ridiculously long, I have to set it for like an hour and a half beyond what they say. And so I'm looking at the DVR this morning. I have the most ridiculous things recorded, like the Lance Briggs show, because I recorded post game. Like, that's the only time anyone has ever recorded the Lance Briggs show. It's because it's not really that; it's a Cub post game. And then some shit on FS1 that no one would ever have recorded. I actually think I have an episode of this Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless thing on there. It's not that show; it's still the end of the Cub game, but it looks like I actually recorded it. So somewhere, Skip is like holding up a spreadsheet, going, "Look, I'm huge in Chicago. Look at how many." He's like, "No, Skip, you weren't on. They weren't recording you. They were recording a real show."
I love the promos. Well, I hate the promos for that. It blows my mind that someone thought, "Do you want to hear what Skip has to say?" would be an appropriate thing for that. And I think Skip Bayless actually thinks that he is this like hot take master, because there's that one promo where he's like telling Shannon Sharp, he's like, "That's the hottest seat in all sports media," talking about Shannon Sharp's seat. I'm like, does he actually think that anyone thinks his screaming, bleeding nonsense is interesting or a good take or entertaining or anything?
If you got paid $5 million a year to just take the opposite of what his whole job is, to take whatever the commonly held narrative on anything is and argue the other side of it.
The common sense.
But if they would pay you $5 million a year for it, you would eventually, I think, start to think that you were the one who was always right. I'm sure at one point Skip knew he was just being contrarian and he got a job for it. Yeah. But after a while, I think he's decided that he's always right and everybody else is wrong. Like the biggest thing that he hammers all the time is that LeBron James sucks.
Yeah.
Well, how can you possibly actually defend the fact that one of the 5 best players in NBA history sucks?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the promos for that is, I don't hate LeBron James. I hate you, Skip Bayless.
So here's a good one. I got this morning. A guy named Matthew Friedman tweeted, just saying, but Schwarber's career slash line at Progressive Field, where Cleveland plays, is 667, 667, 1222. for an OPS of right around 1900.
1908?
That's where it's 1908. So that's where he'll be DHing in the World Series, would be in Progressive Field. So that'd be
cool. I know, and I know Schwarber said he's not going to be back, and I know that someone I think it was BC earlier said that now you take Zastrinski off the roster for the World Series and put.
Yep, that's who gets replaced. Kyle goes in that spot. Okay, now let's say Kyle really is healthy enough to play.
I have said that.
Would the Cubs have the first at bats he gets?
Be in the World
live
Series.
Events be in the World Series. The common sense answer to that is no. Of course you wouldn't do that. No,
absolutely not.
But if I told you, said, all right, I'm from the future, and Kyle Schwarber, the Cubs decide, screw it, let's have Kyle DH. The Kyle hits 3 home runs in the World Series. Would you doubt that I was telling you the truth?
Not even remotely. I actually think he's going to be so pent up with like rage that he missed this entire season. I think he could, if he hit 3 home runs in the World Series, I think they would collectively go 1.5 miles.
Yep.
I think it can still happen.
I think it's pretty amazing that they lost him and they're still this good.
Yeah.
Because I think people who watch Cubs all the time like us, we know Kyle's really good. But I think other people, more casual fans, just think, oh, yeah, he was the cute little fat guy who hit home runs in the playoffs last year. No, he's really good. He was going to hit. He was legitimately going to hit 40 home runs this year.
Yeah.
And they just lost that in the third game of the season. And it didn't slow them down at all. I mean, it's amazing that didn't. Most teams, if you lose your, third or fourth best offensive player and a guy who's that good, are screwed. And Cubs didn't,
By speaking of really good, people that don't know people that are really good, well, and that Cub fans do know, going back to Baez, did you see his WAR for this year and the number of innings he had compared to like some other
second base, where everybody played like, I don't even know what it was, like 1,300 innings at second base, and he played 300 and he was third in the National League in WAR at second base. Yeah,
unbelievable. Like the play, was it Span, the one that he basically he dove through the ball from 1 foot?
And they call him out, and then on replay, they got overturned, and Span tipped his helmet to him.
Yeah.
And we probably wished he hadn't, because at 2 pitches later, Javi made the most ridiculous tag ever, where he just let the ball get all the way to the bag so that Span would run into him and be out.
It was just on his body when he caught the ball. That's
a pretty impressive throw, too, from Grandpa.
Yeah. God, I love Ross. And I know not everyone, but I was given quite a bit of, BC corrected me. It was defensive run save, not WAR. Thank you. You jerk.
I guess it'd be hard to be 11 wins above at 300 innings. That would be pretty impressive.
That would be pretty impressive. Yeah. But that's crazy. What was I saying? I don't remember. Something about Ross, probably. Whatever.
They shouldn't retire. That we need to take back all his retirement presents. He has to come back next year.
I remember.
Did you hear that he lowered his percentage that he's retired from 100 to 99%? So there's a chance.
Oh, good, because then I won't be older than every Cub on the roster if he comes back.
He's retired. Especially they're gonna win the World Series. He's not coming back.
No.
Would you come back?
No. Isn't Lackey 39, 38?
Maybe 37. Lackey looks like he ought to be 50. I don't know how he. And he's been around forever.
Yeah.
And how about hit that wonderful fourth inning that he had, where he throws 3 grooved fastballs to the pitcher and then is all pissed off that he gets a hit, and then falls down and dry humps first base while he's trying to cover it.
Someone
he actually didn't pitch that bad, but those are two mistakes that were directly on him. So he doesn't, he doesn't get out of it blameless.
Someone wrote I wish I could give credit, an interesting thing about changing the rule to, because what we really care about, because with Baez, your Lackey's thing maybe reminded me of Baez's slide into second, where everyone was bitching that he didn't run out the ball that would have been a double, and he got thrown out at second because there was that brief split second that his body actually wasn't in contact with the base.
I wanted Joe Panic to get charged with a sex crime for the tag. I mean, he molested Javi. And also, if you watch the replay closely, which I did because I got like Abraham Zapruder. I got out and I rewound and watched it. Panic tags him hard, and his hand comes off. And about the time Javi pops off the bag, Panic's glove is off of it. He should have been safe. I mean, it doesn't excuse the fact that had Javi done what he said he was going to do the night before, which was run out every ball he hits, or had Javi actually slid feet first, which he also said he was going to do when he broke his thumb last year in Iowa.
Yeah,
that in either case he's safe.
But so what we care about is the ball and the tag beating the runner to the base. Like once the runner hits the base, there should be like it's almost like a land thing where you own the air above. And as long as you're over the base.
Here's what I think should happen. I think they should install an airbag in the base. When you hit the base, the airbag pops up to keep you from sliding off of it. So if you're already been tagged, you're out. If not, you just get to lay in the airbag for a while until Joe West comes by and, packs it back into the bag for you. I think that'll work.
Oh, shoot. Hang on. Thank you, WKRP in Cincinnati. I retweeted this article at CSN, an unbelievable stat that sums up Javi Baez's amazing defense with Cubs by Tony Andracki. I'm trying to look for the actual stats.
Good.
If you extrapolate out Baez's defensive runs, here it is. If you extrapolate out Baez's defensive run saves to 1,292 innings, he would have been at more than 37. That is absolutely bananas. Thank you for tweeting that out. Or tweeting that at me. That is absolutely insane. So look at that article if you guys. I just tweeted it out.
Well, we got several more games to watch before we have to worry about the off season. But I've already started occasionally in an odd moment. I will think ahead to next year, and you're not going to be able to not play Javi every day because it makes your team worse to not play him. So how do you play Schwarber and Javi every day?
Schwarber is going to go back to catcher, and then Contreras is going to be traded for 2 power arms. Chris Sale.
I don't think they're trading Willie, who is a pretty.
I would be very upset.
That's a pretty amazing.
He is
just the fact that he's this good, this fast,
and he's a crazy good athlete. Yeah. He's one of the best athletes on that team, probably.
And when they pinch hit him, my immediate thought was, "Oh, good, he's going to have a good at bat." He's 24 years old, and when he came up, you're like, okay, he's not going to give this away because he doesn't swing at shit he can't hit, and he's going to make you throw a strike, and he's going to hit it. And he didn't hit it very hard, but the fact he didn't strike out is probably the reason that gives you a chance for that ball to roll through the infield and tie the game.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do with Ben Zobrist? Does he become Javi next year, and Joe gets him in every game by throwing him around at different spots on the field?
Let's not worry about it. Speaking of crazy,
here's what I really was thinking about would you do this? Would you, because Addison's obviously a really good shortstop. His only limitation is that his arm is not great for shortstop. It's not bad, but it's not great. Javi has a great arm. Would they be better off next year if they switched those two back and played Addison at second and Javi at short?
Probably.
Maybe they wouldn't be, but maybe Javi is so amazing at second, a position he hardly had ever played until he got to the major leagues, which is also crazy. He hadn't played third at all. He barely played second, and he's really good at it.
Because it's like, okay, you're our best player. You're a shortstop. Yeah. Just to wrap up this Baez article, he also saved 1 run while playing 370.2 innings at third and 4 runs while appearing at 194 innings at short. That is okay. That's special. Anyhow,
he's pretty good. And the fact now that he is not a all or nothing hitter at the plate.
Yeah.
He's not going to walk. He's never going to walk a lot. But as long as he's only striking out 20% of the time, it doesn't matter. Hasn't he walked twice in the playoffs already?
Yeah. Magna Carta continues killing it. But he says Lackey is 37. But if you told me his Texas birth certificate is off by a couple of years, I'll believe it. Thank you guys for making this podcast actually entertaining. What was I? If we're going on about amazing athletes, can we talk about Jake Arrieta once again hitting just an absolute bomb? Did
you notice in the 9th inning in Game 4 when they showed the dugout and Jake had a batting glove on?
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm ready."
Yep.
All right, let's go. Joe, do you need me?
Ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that dugout celebration when he hit the 3-run homer was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I mean, they looked like they had won the World Series right then. I know it was because it was unbelievable that Jake Arrieta hit a home run off Madison Bumgarner. B, I know they thought they were going to win. Like that was going to be the start of the blowout, and they were going to win. But it was, and that's just how they are. The reason they're so good is that they're all half nuts. But it was pretty amazing to see. At one point in the celebration, Anthony Rizzo picked Eric Hinsky up and was holding from behind and was holding him in the air. And it's like, all right, Anthony, your back is now in 4 pieces, but congratulations. That was pretty good. And Pat nailed that. If people were disappointed with the call of the Javi Baez home run, Pat was all over the Jake.
Yeah.
Well, people thought he was a little too subdued.
Which he was almost.
But he was all over Jake. He knew when it left the bat that it was going to be a home run.
Yeah, and Pat, you're right. Pat was the only one smart enough to realize that the wind was not going to put Baez's on the streets. I
love the post game when Chris Bryant got interviewed about the game tying home run in Game 3. The only thing he said was, "Why did they have a car out there?" Ridiculous thing.
Out there.
Yeah. If that's not there, the left fielder, who I think was probably Blanco, because Pagan by then his back had blown out, might have been able to catch it. But it added a little extra car.
He wasn't even in that game, right? Didn't he not?
Pagan? Pagan didn't play in 3 or 4.
Yeah. BK17 tweeted at us. He said he had this or she, I don't know. Had this discussion recently. Best person to throw out a first pitch at a Wrigley World Series. So he's asking who would we have throw out the first pitch at a Wrigley World Series game. And he said Andy will hate this. Why wouldn't I hate this? I do hate this too. We went with Bartman.
No,
I say don't involve him at all. But this is a good question. What about Sosa? There's enough time between. I mean, like, no one should ever like Sosa as a human being. Like, don't get me. He was a shitbag and he was an arrogant dude and he was obviously a steroid user, but he was fun to watch mash home runs, and like he was the best player of that team for a very, very long time.
From 97 until 2005, probably. He was by far their best player. That's a long time.
He was an Oriole in 2004. He was in Texas in 2005, I think. Oh, you're saying he hung
out. He was with the Cubs till the end of Dusty, right?
Oh, you're right. When did we get?
I think 05 was the end.
Jr.
He wasn't gone in 04.
No, you're right.
Is that when he walked out at the end of that? Maybe that was it.
That was the end of it when he walked out at the end of the 04 season. Anyhow.
Okay, so from 97-04, he was their best player.
Yeah. Although Aramis was there for 03. Anyhow, but
I mean, I loved Sammy when he was there, and I defended him, even though I probably shouldn't have. But it doesn't bother me at all that they don't bring him back because he was a shitbag. I mean,
it doesn't bother me.
And I know the Ricketts family, for whatever reason, and I don't know, maybe they know stuff that even we don't, that hasn't gotten out. They don't even humor the idea that they're ever going to bring him back.
Yeah.
I think you have a better chance of them trying to reanimate Ernie and have him throw out the first pitch than you do of seeing Sammy. They know where Ernie's buried. They buried him. They could they could dig him up and bring him out and try to have it, animatronic Ernie throw out a first pitch.
I mean, I think the easy answer here is probably Billy.
Billy already. He could do it again, but Billy did.
Yeah, I know. But and then Fergie. I mean, for
how about this? Games, how about you do one better than Billy Williams? Billy D. Williams, dressed as Lando. You want to go crazy? It could be like a Rogue One kind of, tie it all together.
What about Mark Grace? One of my favorite players growing up.
Oh yeah, the fans love Grace. I would love to see Mark Grace. That would be good. Sandberg, I'm sure that's a guarantee. Isn't he going to do? Yeah. Isn't his electric personality going to be on every Cub postgame now on SCR through the end of the playoff? I think they made that announcement.
Oh, cool.
That guy is the dullest person.
What about Dawson? Can we get Dawson? I bet Dawson could probably still hit about 85, 90.
Shouldn't they bring Dwight Smith back to sing the national anthem before one of the games?
What about
and have all the fans go, "Who's that? I don't even know who that is."
How about Mitch Williams? We've only got 3 games, so let's narrow it down to our top 3.
How about this? How about Mitch throws out the first pitch and hits whoever the Dodger leadoff batter is on deck circle with the pitch?
I think it's going to be Fergie, Billy, and Ryan Dempster are going to pitch. They're going to throw out first pitches in the 3 games.
I swear to God, if Dempster throws out the first pitch as Harry, that's an actual curse. All the pretend curse shit doesn't happen. That would actually, I think, doom them forever.
We would deserve that if that happened.
My guess is if they get to the World Series, maybe they'll break him out for the LCS. I don't think has Kerry thrown out a first pitch yet.
Oh yeah,
everybody loves Kerry Wood, and the Ricketts family loves Kerry Wood. That's fine. I love Kerry too. That's fine.
Barry literally just tweeted that at us.
How about this? Would you bring Pryor back? And he goes to throw the first pitch, and you actually have Dusty come out and take him out. And then Joe Borowski comes in, and he atones for the whole leaving him out to die in Game 6. I'd love to see Sweaty Joe come back and throw out a first pitch. That would be great. How about, I know if you want to win a World Series, you break out the big guns. It's 3, 4, and 5 are the home games, right? Game 3, Luis Valbuena throws out the first pitch. Place goes nuts. The only thing I would worry about that is that the Cubs players would be like, why isn't Louis here to help us? Why can't he play for us? Because that would really be the difference. But I bring Louis back to throw out a first pitch.
We've got some good people weighing in on this. Cubic Snarconia said if the Cubs go 3-0, I'd use Sosa in Game 4 and Barman in Game 5 just to fuck with fans. Toolism 1 said Jerome Walton. Magna Carta kind of Williams.
I'll bet you Jerome weighs 500 pounds. I'll bet you they'd have to cart him out.
Magna Carta, Aramis. We forgot about Aramis. Said Williams, Jenkins, Dawson, Sandberg, Sosa, Aram all together. BC agrees. Billy Williams, it has to be him.
Well, Greggy, how come has Maddox come back to throw out a first pitch?
Oh shit, Maddox would be amazing. Yep. Oh, that would make me really happy. WKRP in Cincinnati or WC at WC_Fox says. Forgot about this. We need to touch on Vance Law's stupid relative Derek at some point. What a hillbilly. I mean, I don't think I'd ever really paid attention to Bumgarner speaking until I heard him after they won the wild card game.
He's the hillbilly dumbass.
He's a real. He's how I would expect Lackey would sound. And Lackey sounds slightly better than him.
Lackey is Buffalo Bill. That's who Lackey is.
Yeah. You want some coffee?
She a great big
freckle. Yeah, Derek Laws. There was nothing. They're talking about his crying face becoming the new Jordan crying meme.
Yeah, it was amazing how quickly he went from towel waving excitement to just bawling in the dugout. It's like, buddy, this team you weren't going to win the World Series. I hate to tell you this.
Slacky tweeted out during Game 4, because Game 3 was when he was really being obnoxious, and Slacky tweeted out during Game 4. He's like, "Oh, I'm glad that FS1 put Derek Law's mom in charge of all the camera shots, get reaction shots."
He got a lot of face
every single time. And if you're not following Slacky, you probably should. And I don't know, Andrew Sislak probably is. Well, just follow who I follow. If you're following me, you're following him, I'm sure, because he's hilarious during games.
So they tried to, Bruce Bochy tried to have him close out Game 4 because Romo had thrown a million pitches, because that was the underrated aspect of what happened at the end of Game 4 was because Bryant hit the home run off Romo had to pitch 2 innings. And even though he's not that good, he's going to get 3 outs before he gives up 3 runs in Game 4. But he threw 30-some pitches, and so Bochy only wanted to pitch to a batter or 2. And Law had pitched 2 innings and had thrown 35 pitches. And so I think the idea all along was to go Law, then a lefty, probably Lopez, and then back to another righty and get the hell out of there with the lead. So KB hitting the home run really helped set up the rally, even though the Cubs lost that game, set up the rally in Game 4 because their bullpen was completely shot.
Yeah.
Although I think this is funny. Mike Montgomery pitched really well. And the fact that he knew he was out there until either the Cubs got the lead or they lost, because you're only going to use Carl Jr. to pitch to try to save it.
Right.
But people were going on about how he saved the bullpen. It's like, no, Joe had used the bullpen before he got to him.
Yeah.
There was no bullpen to save other than Carl Jr.
Right.
And I kind of wondered, what if they, the Giants have played 18-inning playoff games before. Would there have been a point where the Cubs would have had to have tried to close that game with David Ross?
Yeah, like with a position player. Yeah.
Can you imagine you win a series with your catcher
Ross closing
pitching in the ninth inning? That would be, Or you lose it, and everybody thinks your manager's the dumbest person in the world because you're running out of pitchers.
Well, considering he lost the season earlier that game.
Well, it's already over. I mean, all that did was prolong the agony because he's obviously we have a terrible manager. He's an idiot, and nothing that he does the rest of the year will be right.
I asked this person for his postseason tickets, considering this series is already over. So
you might as well, since you're not going to use them.
Yep.
Maybe we can raffle them off for charity.
So sweet JJ1S Clay Dotson said, Cub great Glendon Rush to throw out the first pitch.
So the fans can boo him. Remember when he came back with the Rockies and the fans booed him? It's like, what did Glendon Rush do other than almost die in the locker room? I mean, Jesus, give the guy a break. Cub fans are the worst.
I know. I love that Glendon Rush still does not have a chin. He tried to grow a goatee. He tried to accentuate. He tried to be like, this is where my chin would be, guys, and it never worked for him.
Who did were you at game 1?
2. 1, sorry.
Yeah. No. Who did they? 1. I know they gave Sean, which warmed my heart because he's one of my favorite Cubs ever. I know they gave Sean Dunston a nice ovation, but who did they boo? There was somebody that didn't make any sense that they booed during the Giants introductions.
I don't know.
I can't think of it now. I remember thinking, why did you even bother to boo the poor guy?
I don't know.
So that's good. I'm glad I brought that up.
I think, wouldn't you sort of boo everyone?
Well, no, it was somebody you didn't expect they were even going to take the time to boo.
Oh, okay.
You expect they're going to boo Bumgarner because he's really good. And I mean, the good players get booed but it was some shitbag who they booed. It's like, oh, come on. Just
maybe we knew it was a Connor Gillespie, and in hindsight,
they preemptively booed him. We should be playing the Mets. We would have beat the Mets by 100 runs. It's your fault. Now we have to be all nervous. I will admit, I'm not nervous at all yet. Not at all. But by 5 o'clock, I'm sure I'll be, in a fetal position, trying not to crap myself.
Well, my business partner in the theater is he's grew up in Michigan, and so he was, he was a Tigers fan, and then just tangentially a Cubs fan because he could always see the games, and then he moved to LA for several years and became, so he's sort of a adoptive Dodgers fan. So he's like, well, whatever happens in this series, I'm happy. He's like, obviously, but it's going to be fun to give him grief. It's more fun for me that it's now Nationals would have been fun to watch Joe manage circles around Dusty, but losing a series to Dusty if God forbid that would have happened would have been way less tough. Because I think Dave Roberts is a pretty decent manager from what I've seen, and at least he's not Dusty. So this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be very fun, and I don't know. It's gonna be an exciting series. That's my prediction. Everyone's gonna have fun.
We're all just gonna enjoy ourselves. There we go. The dogs invaded again.
BC said about throwing out the first pitch. We've all forgotten Cubs legend Mark DeRosa.
Could we have? Let's bring back David DeJesus and Mark DeRosa, as long as they bring their wives.
Yeah, there you go. David DeJesus, I forgot about him. Is it possible to can we have Ross throw out the first pitch? That's the only thing he has. I mean, can you have an active player throw out the first pitch? Why not? Just make Grandpa do it.
Yeah, I would.
Can your dogs throw out the first pitch?
I don't know. Beasley though would steal the ball and run around the field with it.
Yeah, so would Maddox.
Why are you eyeballing me like that?
Well, we're at 90 minutes. We've accomplished nothing. Oh, do you want to do our movie Netflix recommendations and video game recommendations? See, I remembered. That's what people tune in for. They wait 90 minutes of our just not even really talking about baseball just to hear what they should watch on Netflix.
All right.
Stranger Things.
I will say there were. Well, yeah, that was really good. Although Kevin Kadick today went off on how after episode 3 it sucks. But the thing you have to know about Kevin is he has the worst taste in movies and TV ever. I forget, there have been like 3 or 4 things that were undeniably good that he has bitched about how overrated they are. So I think he just does it on purpose because he's he just likes.
My dad thinks, because he skipped Bayless. My dad thinks Shawshank Redemption is one of the worst movies ever made. I'm like, okay, that's a little hyperbole.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be on TBS every night. But yeah, it was good. No one's going to deny that. Well, like for him, I guess that it was a good movie.
The only bad thing I found about Stranger Things is Winona Ryder is a horrendous actress.
Yeah,
I don't know how we missed that. But she is just almost unwatchable during that. But the kids are also great.
The kids were great, and so is the guy who plays the sheriff.
Oh, he's amazing. I've never
in every movie he's ever been in, he's just been a dick who you're supposed to hate. And this was like the first thing he was in where you actually could like him, David Harbour. He was really good.
I didn't even.
He's one of he's that guy who I couldn't tell you, but if you want, you'd be like, oh, there he is. Oh, yeah, there he is. He's in that. As I point wildly. So since I didn't give this any thought, there are 2 movies that I got from, because I'm one of the few people left who still gets Blu-rays from Netflix, because some movies don't ever come out on there, and I don't like to wait. So, 2 that I got that way that you can probably watch on pay-per-view, I'm sure you can, that I had very low expectations for. Well, I had higher for one than the other that I thought were really, really funny. Were the one I had no expectations for was the Andy Samberg pop star Never Stop Not Stopping, which is really, really funny. It's really funny. And to the point where I don't understand why it was such a flop, because it's from the beginning to the end, it's the jokes are mostly dumb, but they all land. And he has to play a guy who is just completely self-oblivious, but you never don't like him. So there's a talent in that. And then the other movie that I had better expectations for, because I like Shane Black, was The Nice Guys with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, which is really, really funny. I mean, really good. Yes, it's very funny. From the very beginning, it's funny and goes.
I heard good things about that. I will say Andy Samberg is basically like the good version of Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler used to be good before he went off the deep end. And I thought Hot Rod was hilarious, and all the Lonely Boy or the Lonely Island stuff I think is hilarious.
And that's what this is. It's all 3 of those guys.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine is amazing.
Him and Jorman, whoever the other guy is that nobody knows his name.
I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He has that charm, but that Adam Sandler used to have until he just got super annoying. The Sheriff Hopper was in, I haven't seen, but Brokeback Mountain. I assume he played a bad guy in that. He was in The Newsroom, which I've never seen.
Oh yeah.
I assume he was a bad guy in that. Those are probably the 2.
No, he played the guy who had the show before. Before the show that you were watching, that all the people were on.
He was Greg. He was Greg Beam in Quantum of Solace. I don't remember him.
No.
Anyhow,
the bad Daniel Craig Bond movie.
Before
way to go, David.
And then I heard good things about The Good Guys, so I will watch that.
Or The Nice Guys. Either one's good.
Nice Guys. All right. Good Guys is the one with Mark Wahlberg, maybe. Isn't it?
No, the other guys.
The other guys. Okay. The other one. All right. Are you done?
I'm done. That's all I had.
I don't have discs, so I don't know.
Well, that's what I mean, because otherwise I'd be giving you shit like, see Narcos. Everybody knows to watch Narcos. Stranger Things. Everybody knows to watch Stranger Things. I haven't watched the Amanda Knox documentary yet, but that's supposed to be really good.
Yeah. So. How I'm rewatching Breaking Bad. Speaking of things that are amazing to watch, and I know this is for 5 years ago, and I assume everyone's seen it, but I won't put any spoilers. But because I'm watching it with someone that's never watched it, so she's seen it for the first time, and as we started to near the end of season 3, I was like, there's only 2 seasons left of this, and there is so much that still needs to happen. Season 5 is the most nonstop, exhausting, unbelievable season of anything. I mean, I still will swear that Breaking Bad is the best show of all time, although Better Call Saul is amazing. And the first 2 seasons of that, I think, are available on Netflix. All of Breaking Bad, if you haven't watched it. And even if you have, just rewatch it, because I'm noticing stuff that I did not notice the first time, and it's amazing. And I think the first time I watched that show, the transition from Walt to full-on monster, I think I had a lot more sympathy for him a lot later the first time I watched it. The second time I'm watching it, I'm like, yeah, Skylar's not as big of a bitch as I remember. Like, she's making some pretty good points here. And his transition to the Heisenberg monster is way for me, it's way more gratifying the second time for some reason. So if you haven't rewatched Breaking Bad, just rewatch Breaking Bad.
I think the most impressive thing about Breaking Bad is that the scene where he threw the pizza on the roof.
Yes, one take.
Yeah, yep. That happened in one take.
Yeah.
The final season of Breaking Bad was, most shows have a hard time figuring out how to wind down.
Like Lost.
So they just didn't wind down. They basically slammed the accelerator down and went to the end. And then the second to last episode, is that Ozymandias or whatever it is maybe the greatest single TV episode of all time.
And the finale is super gratifying. I obviously won't, in case anyone hasn't watched it. You know what I was noticing?
That's when you find out that he actually is. He was playing the dad from Malcolm in the Middle all the time. It's the same character and just in 2 different shows.
I will. Hank was such a great character throughout the run of that season, or the run of that series. I was in the back of my mind, I was waiting for the Hank's garage scene, which is one of my favorite scenes in that entire series. And this is how brilliant Vince Gilligan is. I was noticing as I'm like, when is this going to happen? Because like we're into season 5. Like, when is this going to happen? And I was noticing how many garage doors were being like used and like going up and down. I'm like, he set that scene up like 6 episodes before. And like I don't usually notice stuff like that. Like I love good cinematography. I love good shots. I love interesting camera angles and all that stuff. But like I don't usually pick up. I mean, that's probably why it's supposed to be subconscious. Only because I was waiting for that scene. I'm like, oh my God, he's using it. And like he hadn't done it through the course of the season or through the course of the series until about those last 6 episodes or so leading up to that scene. I'm like, this is goddamn brilliant. I mean, I already knew it was brilliant, but it was so awesome to watch that come together.
Yeah. The 2 shows where doors always played a significant thing were Mad Men and Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Both Matthew Weiner and Vince Gilligan framed people indoors and used doors as a
power versus non-power thing.
Yeah. You saw and they said it was not a coincidence that the original poster for Mad Men is the back of Don Draper's head, because a lot of the most important reveals in the show history were shot from behind him. Where it was a reaction. So if I can make a book recommendation, I actually bought an actual book. Didn't just download something, but you could buy TV the Book by Alan Sepinwall and the other guy, Matt Zoller Seitz. They go through all of the greatest, what they think are the greatest TV shows of all time. And I won't spoil who they think the #1 TV show is, but I will, because they tell you right away. It's The Simpsons. And they go through a very tortured chapter where they talk about, I think the final 4 were The Wire, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, and The Simpsons, and Cheers. There were 5. And they talk their way through until they end up with The Simpsons, because of the fact that people think, well, that show's not that funny anymore. But for the first 10 years it was on, it was ridiculously good. And it's still pretty good. It's just it'll never be what it was in its peak at the beginning.
It also launched a lot of career. I mean, it launched a lot of important careers off of it. I read. Wish I could think of the name of it. Something Men. Damn it! It's like
Something Men.
Yeah, no. It's about all the unlikable main characters, like the Walter Whites, the Don Drapers, the Tony Sopranos. It's it's nonfiction, and like how not only how those characters were, how they became like almost the default hero, the anti-hero, but how important this era of television is, that we, is with Netflix, with like all these like essentially mini series now. People are creating more. So even Breaking Bad, which was a serial, it was a TV show. I think you think of things like The Wire, things like Breaking Bad, things like Mad Men, as just a long mini series at this point, because it's a really like strung out movie, the way that these brilliant and it's another thing you point out, a lot of these guys are former movie writers that, like, I don't think there's as much money to be, unless you're going to write Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or Rogue One, there's a lot of money to be made now on TV again, because there's been a real renaissance. God, I wish I could think of the name of it. I could look at my Kindle.
That's good. That's good. It's always good to recommend a book that you don't know the title of. So very helpful to the listeners.
I'm looking. So talk amongst yourself. Have you played any games?
No. Well, I played Uncharted 4.
Oh, you have a PS4?
The last one. I have a PS4. I bought it because the two games I play the most are The Show and Uncharted, and so you can't get either of those. And actually, I may buy a Slim now that the price is down, so I'll have both again, because I used to always have both PlayStation.
No, wait for the Scorpio, because they're gonna do
Scorpio. That's from Simpsons. So I guess I'll wait for the Scorpio then.
I don't know.
So we have, at some point, for those of you watching the podcast, all three dogs have made an appearance. The little dog, which we thought was a min pin, he's a rescue, and it turns out he's way too big to be a min pin, so he's probably just a dachshund something else, is deathly afraid of one of the other dog's toys. Beasley has a pig that doesn't squeak, it oinks. And Beasley knows this, and will actually, when she gets mad at Lucas, will grab it and make it oink and chase him around the house with it, which is really funny because he freaks out and tries to hide. And they're basically doing that now, which is good.
Great.
I was killing time while you were looking up whatever the name of the book was, which I don't think
I for some reason, Amazon will not even let me scroll to the second page of the books I have, so I can't find it. Anyhow, Difficult Men. Magna Carta is killing it. Yes, Difficult Men. That's the name.
Someone else is telling you the name of the book you read.
The book that I read. Thank you for, yes, Difficult Men. Oh my God, thank you for bailing me out of that sticky situation. Anyhow, so I'll go with my then game recommendations. Well, Gears of War 4 launched this week, which is Xbox exclusive. Well, PC, you can get it on the PC. And I will say this, Xbox is doing a very, very cool. They really, if they wouldn't have screwed up that launch so badly, they would be crushing the PlayStation, because they have done a lot of cool stuff since. But they, now that their games, at least their Microsoft published games that they do, are going to be, if you buy a copy on your Xbox or PC, you get the copy on the other one. So I have a good buddy of mine who's a PC player his entire life. We were able to play. Don't make that face. We were able to co-op.
Nobody saw that but you.
We were able to co-op the campaign. It's a good campaign. It's more Gears of War. It's silly. There's not a lot of story, but there's a chainsaw gun, so who cares?
Yeah.
So it's good. Horde mode is really cool. If you guys are into that, I've been playing that. And what else have I been playing? Oh, I'm gonna say this. Because this was a release. I think it was on PS4 and it was on PC, and I've only played a very little bit of it, but this is such a cool cause. So this guy, it's called Axiom Verge. It's like a Metroid-esque. I think it's only $10 or $20 or something. This guy developed it completely by himself. His kid has some very, very rare disease that it's a brain function disease. I don't even want to go more into it, but buy this game. Buy it on PC. Buy it on the PS4. Buy it on the Xbox One now. Just to support this guy. And I've only, again, probably put an hour into it, and it seems very good, especially if you're into like the Metroidvania kind of things. But it's good, and it's going to a good cause. So I forget the guy's name, but Axiom Verge is the name of the game.
Okay.
So I'm going to say that.
All right. Well, we got BC all the way beyond kickoff of Rutgers, Illinois. So I think we've served our purpose.
No one there. All right. Well, you got a score prediction for tonight?
So it's Leicester Kenta Maeda, 12-1 Cubs.
Okay. I'm gonna say 5-2.
Right.
Okay.
So you took what? You took Dodgers in 6, right? Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
And 5. So I think we know who the real Cub fan is around here.
Cubs in 6.
Cubs in 6 or Cubs in 5?
Well, if I was a real Cub fan, I would have posted something on Facebook after the Dodgers beat the Nationals, clearly.
Yeah.
That's a callback. So that means it's the end of the podcast.
A long time ago when we started this at 9:35.
About everything.
But anyway, so at the peak, we had 36 people watch this at once.
Whoops.
36 people with nothing better to do on a Saturday morning. There's still 19 hanging in right now.
Have fun on your run.
Yep, I'm excited. I'll try to get sobered up, and then I'll go for my run, and then I'll still have several hours to kill before game time.
Yeah. I might go back to bed. All right.
So the next time we do this, we'll be previewing the Cubs' first World Series appearance since before the end of World War II.
Oh, Jim Essian, by the way, is back up. Thank you to my good friend Alex for fixing my website that had been hacked quite some time ago. So if you guys want to go back and relive the bottom 126 or whatever, the top, whatever the hell, top 79, bottom 126. It's been a while. Please feel free. If you want to experience the suffering of being a Cub fan for all those years until now, I should really start posting something again. But now I feel nervous that I'm going to screw something up.
Yep. Because that's what happens. It's what clothes particular fans wear. Yep. That has a big impact on it. Where you sit, if they start a rally and you change seats, the Cubs know that and they stop the rally.
If you eat a bologna sandwich or not.
If somebody who doesn't post something and all of a sudden does, that will also jinx them. So there's a lot of things. Basically, you should probably pick a spot and sit there for the next 9 days and just crap yourself in place. Because if you move, you'll ruin it. So everyone should keep that in mind.
All right, Dolan. I'll see you after the championship series.
Yeah.
One way or
another.
Go Cubs. All right. Go Cubs. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks for watching and listening. Yeah.